Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby and I'm with Fitness is Medicine. Today I'm going to take you through some really functional exercises. Everything that I do has a functional reason, but all of these are really important. To find yourself without the ability to do these things can be detrimental. It can be really hard to build yourself back up if you can't do these things. So I'm talking floor to stand, rowing and pulling yourself, some pushing motions, and I'll explain as we go along why they're so important. So first we're going to start with a row, which I do a lot of, but it's a really important thing to be able to pull some weight and pull heavy weight. If you think being able to pull yourself up off of something or pull your body weight to move yourself if you were to have a surgery of some sort, or if you find yourself on the floor and you need to pull yourself up, things like that. So we're going to work on that row to begin with. So I'm going to use my bands that I've got hooked through the door with my door attachment. I want to have my knees bent just a little bit, hips sitting back, or you can sit on a ball if that works better for you. You want to start with your shoulders down, and then we're going to pull back. Pull those hands toward your armpits, driving your elbows towards the back of the room. Squeezing those shoulder blades as you pull back. Remember, you want to think about squeezing a pencil between those shoulder blades. So as you see my shoulder blades squeeze back, you want to squeeze. Really make that motion. Make those scapula work. Make those muscles move those scapula. Okay, we're going to do 10 of these. Nice and slow, so we're working arm muscles and those back muscles to really work in those pulling motions. All right, the next one is floor to stand. So being able to get up off the ground is a really important skill. And if you do it already, great. But I want to give you some really good mechanics to go through. We've done this before, but I think it's a really good thing to reinforce. So if you find yourself on the ground, work yourself up to your hands and knees like this. And then we're going to bring one foot forward, bring that same hand on the same knee, push yourself up so that you bring that center of gravity back over your hips, and then you can use both hands to push up off that one knee. Okay, so let's do it one more time on that side. So bring that foot forward, and then bring that same hand on top of that knee, push yourself up to an upright position. If you need to readjust, sometimes if you find yourself here, bring your hands to really get that foot out in front and gives you some good leverage. Curl that back toe, push up to standing from there. It gives you that good leverage to be able to push from those hands. Let's try the other side. So bring that foot forward, same hand up on that knee, bring yourself back. You want that center of gravity back, because if you're here and you try to stand up, you are already going forward again. That momentum is going to carry you forward, and you could fall again, and you don't want that. So both hands on this knee, push up. Okay, and now if you are having trouble doing it from the ground, you can kind of crawl over to like a coffee table or a chair, something sturdy to be able to help you with that. But one foot forward, same hand on that knee, push yourself up, bring that center of gravity back, and then push up to standing. So do as many of those as you feel challenges you. If you have a hard time doing those floor motions, so foot, hand, other hand, foot, hand, upright, other hand, all the way up. So if you have a hard time with those, it's something you should be practicing. Okay, the next one is dips. So being able to push yourself, push your body weight, and move it around is a really important thing, especially if you've had a knee surgery or a hip surgery and you need to stay stable and you want to move yourself around. Your arms need to be strong enough to do that. So I brought a couple of my big textbooks in here. Yoga blocks work really well for this. I don't have my yoga blocks here, they're at my gym, but big phone books, if you have those still from years ago, we don't really use them anymore. But I've got these big textbooks, and you can stack as many as you want here. And the goal is not to move yourself super far, but to be able to push and lift your body weight up off a chair. So the other thing you can do is if you have a really strong like office chair, waiting room chair type thing, you can push off those handles and push yourself up. Those are hard to find in a normal home. But bring these right in very close to your hips. And the reason I like this is because you can push your hands, the fingers kind of pointed down like this, and push yourself up. Now, the key here is not to bring your shoulders towards your ears. So don't start here. Got to bring those shoulders down and really push. So this is really going to involve a lot of triceps. If this feels pretty easy to you, we could move these out of the way. And we can try some dips off the edge. So same thing, keep those shoulders down away from your ears. You can drop your hips down below, and then you can come back up. So try one before you go on to more. So the most important thing here is keeping those shoulders down away from your ears and almost scraping your back against that chair or that coffee table that you're using for your bench, because you don't want to overextend your shoulders. So if you can do those and they're feeling like they're pretty doable, the further you have your knees bent in, the easier it is. So start with your knees bent, and then if you've got it, you can go out to a straight knee like this. But don't go further than a 90-degree bend in your elbow, and go nice and slowly. If you can only do a couple of those, that's okay. We're working on building that strength, being able to move yourself, in your bed, on your sofa, whatever. If you find yourself in a position where, you've just had knee surgery or foot surgery or something and you need your arms to really help move you around. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is a farmer carry. So I've got this kettlebell here, and you don't have to use a kettlebell. You can use a gallon jug of water. You can use a bucket of water. This is kind of the most common thing, carrying your groceries or carrying a bucket of water. Setting those shoulders. So you want to think about, are my shoulders equal? Are my shoulder blades engaged and holding me? Are my abs engaged? And then you want to think about staying straight, keeping all of that straight as you walk across the room. So keeping all of that engaged and not, I think the common tendency is to hike it like this. So we're going to hike it and walk like this, but that's really hard on your shoulders. So by keeping it level, we're really engaging those shoulder blades again, engaging those rhomboids and all those shoulder muscles, engaging your core to keep you level and not hiked up like this or, carrying it like this. We want to be level and just slowly walk across your room. You can walk all the way up and down your hallway. You can walk, 10 feet, and if that feels hard, try it again. You can rest in between. You can go as far or as short as you need to. But this is a good one to really engage all of this core to keep that level. This is a really common thing that you have to do in your day-to-day life is, if you're carrying a suitcase or carrying your groceries or carrying a bucket of water, especially right now, it's, gardening season, things are growing, we're watering, we're carrying big buckets of, water and watering cans and things. You can practice that while you're doing those things. Practice staying level, engaging those abs so that you don't do this and you don't do this. Really keep everything strong. Keep that core strong. Okay, next one we're going to do is just a kettlebell move. So when you have to pick up something heavy, how do you do it? So I'm going to bend my knees and pick it up. And then I'm going to take 2 steps to the side, and then I'm going to set it back down. So commonly, I notice people will do an exercise correctly, but when they pick up that weight for the first time or they go to put it away, they may all of a sudden just all the form goes out the window because they're done with the exercise. They've done the exercise beautifully. They've done it with perfect form, and then they go to put the weight away, and then they just kind of, huck it over there. So if you don't have a kettlebell, use a gallon jug of water, use a bucket of water, use a dumbbell. You can use anything that's going to challenge you just a little bit for whatever need that you have. So you want to bend those knees, Just like, so this is a squat, right? We're gonna squat down and pick up this weight and move it. So you're gonna bend your knees, sit your hips back, keep that weight between your feet, and then engage those legs. And then we're just gonna take 2 steps to the side, and then we're gonna set it back down. So the same thing, think about it before you set it down, and then come back up. And then we're gonna just do that about 5 times. So pick that weight up, step to the side 2 times, bend those hips back. You wanna sit those hips back, you wanna keep those knees right over your ankles, and then come back up. Reach down, grab that heavy weight, take 2 steps back to this side, sit those hips back, and try to set it down gently. Try not to make a sound. So you want to set it down gently. You don't want to clunk it. You don't want to make a, you don't want to plop it down. So hips back, 2 steps to the side, right in between your feet. So if you really focus on keeping that weight right in between your feet when you set it down, you're working with your own body weight. You're using your own gravity. If you set it out here, then your back is going to engage, and then your back is going to complain. Especially, maybe not right now, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. So right between your feet, 2 steps. The other thing you'll notice is my knees are staying over my ankles both ways. So they're staying this way over my ankles and laterally over my ankles. They're not collapsing in like this. It's going to be hard to pick that thing up. So this is actually a really good way to work on that if you do have that valgus collapsing, because they're not going to be able to collapse, and then you're not going to be able to pick that object up. So let's do 1 more each way. Now, if you happen to be carrying 2 things, same thing. Reach down, pick them up. We're going to move them over to the side, right in between, keeping that chest high and really working those hips and legs. Okay, so for the last one, I'm going to go through each of these once because I think these are really good ones to work on all the time. You should be incorporating these types of exercises at least once a week so that you are strong and are able to do these types of weights and moving, especially if you find yourself in a compromised position. If you fall when you're gardening, or if if you happen to have a surgery coming up, you should be doing these exercises. The floor to stand obviously isn't necessarily one you need to be doing after surgery, but that's a really important functional one that everybody needs to be able to do. Okay, so this last one, I don't normally do sit-ups, and I've talked about that in here. And this isn't really, it's sort of a sit-up, but if you think about being in bed and being able to sit up out of bed, that's a really important thing to do. Or get up off the couch, or get up, wherever you happen to be lying down. If you're on the floor stretching and you need to get up. Lots of different things, lots of different scenarios. So I'm going to lie on my back. In order to do this, I want to bend my knees up because that immediately puts my back into a better position. So if you're in bed and you need to turn over, or you're in bed and the phone rings and you just, kind of come flying out of bed. This is one you should be able to do. And if you're not accustomed to being able to do this, you may have trouble down the road, and that's what we all have to think of, is down the road. You may have trouble with it now, and this is something you can work on. I want you to do, we're going to sit up, like we're going to sit up out of bed. The phone rang, the doorbell rang, whatever. The cat's meowing, the dog's barking, whatever. So we sit up, and then we're going to put your hands here and push the rest of the way up. So you can get those hands in good position. All right, lie down, sit up, put your hands, and really help yourself. So this is also incorporating those muscles that we used in the dips. So we're using those triceps, using those shoulder muscles. So it is a sit-up, but I think it's an important functional thing that everybody needs to be able to do. Push up, and wherever you are in that continuum, if you're here and you're trying to sit up and you can't get it, you can't quite use your arms for leverage. But this is another reason why pulling those rows are so important, because if you do have somewhere, something set up where you can pull yourself up, that's an important thing. Get most of the way up and then push yourself up the rest of the way with your hands. If you can come all the way up, that's okay. I don't want to start to engage your neck too much, but being able to do this motion, I think, is important. And like I said, I don't normally just do sit-ups, but you can take your time in between. Just be like, okay, I can do that. And think about, so if you're laying in bed and your legs are straight, we don't want to necessarily sit up like that. That can put a lot of pressure in our back if we have a weak core. So bending those knees up, and you can think about this if you're in bed, like you can try this tonight at home in bed. Bend your knees and then sit up, see if you can do it. And if you can't, then sit partially way up and then push yourself with your hands. So if you want to turn over in bed, it requires some core muscles, right? So if you have back pain, turning in bed may be something that is a challenge for you. So these are things you can do to start building up those core, building up those abdominal muscles, and then using your arms to assist you if you need it. Okay, that's all I've got for today. Those are ones I think you should go through a couple times. Those floor to stands, try 2 on each leg. And if that's a challenge, stop there and then go through the rest of them and then come back to them, because that's a really good lower extremity strength and upper extremity and just really the coordination of it all. Getting that, if you can kind of think of like, foot, hand, up, hand, up. So you can, really coordinate those movements and really just have it down so that if you do fall or if you're on the floor, you really just work on that safe way of getting up versus, when you're here and then you try to come up, your weight is still going forward. You could fall again, or you could, be on the ground doing something and try to stand up and then fall. So getting that base of support, that foot out in front, this is probably the most important thing that we all can be doing. And it's a great workout too. You can do it, if it's not that challenging for you, do 10 on each side. If you do 20 times getting up from the floor, you've just done a full body workout. That's great. So let me know if you have any questions, and if you can't do any of these, then it's time to start working on them, because it's an important thing, and we don't want it to get any worse. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Give me some comments, give me some feedback, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.